your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, as we get ready to take you through the primetime topics in sports, not only just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Hopefully everybody's having a good Wednesday. It's definitely been a very eventful Wednesday, to say the least. And that's probably the most I'll speak about that, but it's definitely been an eventful day for sure. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today. As always, if you're watching with us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That is Centex Sports TV / Centex Sports Network on YouTube. You can watch this content 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays right here on Centex Sports Network. If you want to listen, whether you're at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you're at, download the app Centex Sports 1 on your mobile device, on the Google Play Store, or on the Apple Store. Well, folks, we made it through another week here of sports. Just finished out week 9 in the NFL, getting ready to start week 10. It's crazy we're already this far into the season. Feels like it just started up, but already headed to week 10 tomorrow. Got the Bengals and the Ravens. We've got NBA basketball still going on. College basketball has just started up. I'm a college basketball fan. For sure. I was pretty disappointed in Baylor's start to the season, but I know they'll get back on track if they kind of got blown out by Gonzaga the other night. But Gonzaga's a really good team, so not much to be mad about there. Excited to see the women's team start as well. I believe they start tomorrow night. Got to see my favorite college basketball player, probably men or women's right now, and that's Juju Watkins, played the other night. Had a 30 ball in their opener of the season for USC. So a lot of sports going on right now and a lot to talk about. Mainly, we've got the NFL trade deadline has just passed, and that's where we're going to start today, folks. Joining me in studio today, I've got the Central Texas and Waco ISD legend, Mr. Wayne Walker, in studio with me. Also, I've got Rocky Miller in here with me, who's usually here on Tuesdays. We kicked it back one day, and we got both of these fellas in studio with me today. Fellas, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Hey, what's up, Central Texas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, fellas, this is where we're going to start. NFL trade deadline just passed yesterday. Lots of trade news. We'll obviously talk about the Dallas Cowboys and their moves and lack thereof moves, I guess you could say. But a lot of good trades made in the NFL yesterday at the deadline. And some trades that not only yesterday, but just in the last couple of weeks that I think could really be momentum-shifting trades, honestly, for a lot of these teams. The first one I want to start with is one that I think Wayne was on here with me last week, and we talked about this, and that's Darius Smith going to the Detroit Lions. I knew they needed to get a pass rush. I think they've been trying to get a pass rusher for a couple of weeks now, and they finally got a deal done out there in Cleveland with Darius Smith. We know Aiden Hutchinson is out for the year. They said when he got his injury that he could come back if they make the Super Bowl. At first, I was like, I don't know about that, but the way Detroit has looked over the last couple of weeks, and then them adding a guy like Zadarius Smith in there with him, it's not out the realm of possibility at all for the Detroit Lions to get to the Super Bowl.
I got a gripe, though, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to address something, man.
Go ahead.
I appreciate the introduction. but you said Wayne was a Waco ISD legend. Waco
Yeah,
ISD legend.
I got to get your resume together, bro.
I know he was a Southwest Conference, all Conference and All-American and all that. But I have I made all district 1 year.
Let them know.
At Waco High.
Let them know.
So let's not get it twisted.
Hey, we need to give his intro a little more spice, man.
I'm usually here on Tuesday, and you can't walk with this blowing. Hey man, I
Let them know something.
I even made a tackle once on Bert Emanuel. You know what I mean? So. Hey, I got some football accolades too, man. Just don't cast by the side.
We'll have a resume up here on the TV for us next time, man. Let them know.
Because somebody may fact check me on that. So
But it's all about the potential that he had, man. When he was in high school, and he was our district guy. So
yeah.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, you good.
But when you sitting there, man, with a guy who was hey, not to mention NFL all rookie, man. So
Sure.
when you get to talking about that, it makes me, like I said, I don't want to have just I had to just, step up a little bit because I may seem like even though I know considerably more football than he does.
Okay.
Hey, so going back a long time ago, me and Rocky used to always, chop it up about football.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I blessed this game so much, man. It don't make no sense.
He took some notes.
Yeah.
I blessed this game so much, I used to give him the inside.
Yeah.
I didn't, I played football my whole life, and I never knew why guys went in motion. I thought it just looked cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then Walker said, no. You ID coverage by motion. Right? See, watch. If the guy following, and then he'll say, watch, the guy following him is a linebacker. It's man-to-man. If the guy following the running back is the linebacker, is a man-to-man. But if the guy following him is a DB, it's zone. Guaranteed. And it never failed. I went on to have a great career in Madden.
No, but yeah, we used to chop it up all the time.
No, man, we talking about football. And so, anyway.
No, go ahead.
And that was our PlayStation days, man. We playing, Madden,
Yeah.
I mean, from like 5 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning.
I've been there for sure. I spent many a days doing the exact same.
Hey, Walker taught me that tight end flag. I used to use it. I couldn't use it on him. Well, I could use it on
everybody else.
Yeah. Hey, we got to do something and get you guys out of retirement on that on the station, man, and get some Madden going up here, and maybe do something where the fans can see it and we get a couple of insights from everybody. But definitely appreciate you dudes for coming on the show with me today.
It's a great day for
sure.
It's a great day for a sports distraction.
Yeah. Man, who you telling?
I look forward to coming up here. I don't want to listen to no radio. I ain't listen to nothing all day. I couldn't wait to get up here and talk sports with you guys.
No TV, none of that. I don't want to hear anything.
I just told my wife the other day I'm finna be watching film like I'm a coach or something the next couple of days. I don't want to hear about none of this other stuff going on, man. I'm gonna be locked in on this football and this basketball we got going. But like we said, folks, we got a lot going on right now. NFL trade deadline just passed. Before we get just into the nitty gritty of each trades, any of the trades that happened that just stood out to you guys over the rest of them? We had a lot of people moving around. I just talked about Zadarius Smith, Marshawn Lattimore headed to the Commanders, Tre'Davious White leaving the Rams, going over to the Ravens. Helped them out some. The Steelers getting 2 trade pieces, getting Preston Smith from the Packers and getting Mike Williams, the receiver from the Jets. Any that stood out to you over the last real week for you guys?
D-Hop. Yeah. D-Hop to me.
Monday night proved it.
Yeah. Travis Kelce goes out and catches 12 passes. Mm-hmm. But that's the effect of him, when you have a proven veteran that can get open, that knows how to run routes, that knows how to read defenses, he's all pro.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one that stood out to me.
So, Walt, let me ask you this, because this is one of the things that before D-Hop was traded, I remember the narrative coming into this season.
Mm-hmm.
He was washed. He was
right.
He wasn't productive. His best days were behind him. He's a shadow of what he is. How does a guy transform from that to this just by changing uniform?
It's a change of scenery, man. I mean, you going to a team that's 8-0. Understand? Yeah. You've been productive for Tennessee, but you're not winning. So production and losing against production and winning is a whole different ball game. I mean, you're excited, and you're in a new place, and you got Arrowhead Stadium. You're in Arrowhead.
I mean, but he got double-digit targets, I want to say, the other night. At least 9.
Yeah, he got 9, yeah.
Excuse me, he wasn't double-digit, but he got 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at some of his other stats from he wasn't being utilized to that degree even on a team that was struggling.
Mm-mm.
So it just surprises me in the NFL how much situation dictates productivity.
It definitely does. I'm telling you, man, just like I said, being productive and winning against productive and losing is a whole different ball game, man. It just kind of re-energizes you as a player. Then you go into a team that's 2-time Super Bowl champ. You know what the expectations are. They traded for you because it was a need position and they needed you and they want you. So they went out and made that move to bring you in to transform their team because they needed you. it's a different thing when people need you and they want you. So, like I said, being productive and winning, and they throwing you the ball. You catch a touchdown your first game. They install you and put you in offense the first week of the first ball game that you get there.
And that brings me to another point about how much situation matters for players, not even early in their career, things of that nature. Change of scenery doesn't always work.
No.
Being a Cowboy fan, I hope Mingo works out just as well as
might be a little wishful thinking.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously we could have got D-Hop had we been thinking. If we were going to get a receiver, I think D-Hop. Would they give a 6th round up for the
5th round, a conditional 6th round, so it could be a 5th round.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we would have. We gave up a 4th for Mingo. So I'm like, why couldn't? Because when I see this movement, and again, I'm a Cowboy fan. Whatever. My point is saying this: I would have gave a 4th for Mingo and a 5th and a 6th for D-Hop. That would have greatly improved our wide receiver room. Because at the end of the day, as you said, I seen you on the show several times, Walk, is that we didn't make any moves in the off season, so we shouldn't have expected to be any better than we were last year.
Right. You didn't make any moves, but you were a playoff team. You basically had the same team, but you just changed defense coordinators, right? Yeah. And the guys that left went to play with Washington. So they making all the difference in the world there. So where what has transformed Dallas. You go out and get Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer defense is the last 2 years that he was a defense coordinator, probably was ranked bottom 5 in the whole NFL.
Yep.
But you want to try to relive these memories. I'm talking about Jerry Jones. You want to try to relive these memories, and you bring this guy in to do a job that you had the most successful defense coordinator that you had ever had. And Mike Zimmer was too, because Mike Zimmer won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But he had the personnel to do it. He didn't have the personnel, and it's a whole different NFL now.
Completely different.
Back then it was 70% run, 30% pass. Now you have everything. You have to defend. Now they make you defend the whole field. And that's the difference between the NFL in the early 90s and the NFL in the 2020s.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But they made a trade yesterday that just didn't make no sense. I mean,
it was confusing to say the least. Like both of you guys just alluded to, you give up a 4th round pick for Mingo, and I'm not even saying it like Mingo's terrible. He's a guy that had some potential coming out of college, coming out of Ole Miss, but you gave up a 4th, and Coop was traded for a 5th, D-Hop was traded for a 6th, Mike Williams was just traded for a 6th. We're looking at all these receivers that we know are more established and better than Mingo right now, traded for less, and you gave up more while you're sending Dak to IR. Didn't really make any sense to me. And
well, I think it may. Okay, so let me put my GM hat on.
Okay.
Right. You realize what your receiver room is right now, right? At the end of the day, your receiver room is really weak. All right. So there are no number ones available right now.
No.
Right? Nobody's trading the number one. And there are really no established number 2s that you can get your hands on without paying close to $20 million for. We could have got T. Higgins probably in some type of trade, but we would have to give up substantial draft capital and also pay him the rest of his $20-something million.
Yeah.
So I think what Jerry did was try to improve the receiver room using a draft pick to do so, rather than investing money in a second wide receiver. So you got a guy who's a 2nd round pick. He's probably making, I'm going to say, if you're lucky, he's making probably $900,000 maybe, Walker.
Yeah.
He's
somewhere
probably
around
1.1 next year. 1.1 next year.
Around that.
So you got a guy you're going to bring in. You can work him. You can
for sure
maybe put him in a situation where he can develop as a true number 2 wide receiver, and he still has serviceable talent. Again, situation, gotta go back to what you were saying. We knew what his situation was in Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Can he, with an established quarterback, can he upgrade his production from 40-some catches in 2 years? Could he catch 40-some catches in 1 year? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Well, the only thing I don't like about it is the 4th round draft choice.
Exactly. That was my only point.
You know,
the capital you gave up.
So here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we could get a Mingo-level receiver next year at the 4th round?
I don't think Jalen Tolbert is doing a bad job. I think he's doing a wonderful job. But you go out and get a Mingo, but I'm not giving up a 4th round.
No.
4th round is a elite.
Well, I've seen some 11-on-11 footage. Our guys, unless it's down the field, they're not getting open right away.
That's fact.
Like they're just not like the kind of the slants, the quick routes, the things that Brandon I forget his name. Brandon Cooks could get open really fast, make easy decisions.
Oh yeah, he's
those guys. The guys we have now, they're young guys, and like you've said this many times, young guys. You got to understand, they're going to struggle with press coverage. They come out there.
They're going to struggle. You are going to struggle. But Mingo, 4th round pick? I mean,
he was a 2nd round pick.
He was.
But if you're just looking at based off of what everybody else gives up.
D-Hop was an all-pro.
Yeah, for years. I understand the youth part
Mike
what
Williams
you're saying.
has been productive. I mean, Pittsburgh gave up a what, 5th round?
Yeah.
Well, and again.
But he's young and it could work out.
And again, Mike Williams is getting paid though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Williams is getting paid.
Getting paid though.
Yeah.
I don't think Jerry doesn't want to invest money right now for something.
And it's too early. It's too early for us to be able to tell what's going to happen. That's one of those deals where it's to be continued because we don't know how this is going to work out. And it could. And if it does, he's a genius. But if he doesn't,
he's
goes
Jerry.
back to old Jerry.
He's Jerry.
Again, as a Cowboy fan, we can wrap this up.
Yeah.
My hope is that we have the ability to develop a wide receiver the same way we did with CD, Dez, and all these other guys who we drafted, and they turned out to be pretty darn good receivers. I'm not saying Mingo has that kind of talent.
Yeah,
but I know historically we've been able to develop young wide receivers, and if they don't develop to be number ones, they end up going some other places and playing and doing real well, i.e. Cedric Wilson. And there's a number of guys. I hope he can develop and become a player that we can depend on because right now I think Brooks is the guy who we have. He's questionable.
Very
I know
questionable.
You like Tolbert Walker, but I just think the production just isn't there with the opportunities that he's had.
I don't think he's a 2, but
but he's been their second best receiver.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Turpin hadn't. Give him an opportunity. He's supposed to be that Xavier Worthy type guy. Has he cashed in? As probably as a returner, but now the returners is going to be kind of like the running back. They're going to kind of devalue that because all the rules are changing in the kicking game. So what is he giving you as a receiver? And you got him as like what is he, the third best receiver on the team?
Well, I think he's a gadget player, and have you
utility guy.
Player.
Okay.
I think he's not as good a gadget player as Debo. And I don't think he's as versatile as a gadget player as Debo.
No, sure.
For whatever reason, Mike McCarthy values wide receivers who can run reverse and all that kind of stuff.
And I was going to say, a lot of the blame goes on him because you have to put guys in position to make plays.
And he hasn't done that.
That's why D-Hop has a lot of energy because he knows that he's going to a premier offense where Andy Reid's going to put you in positions to be successful.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
Patrick Mahomes, again, that situation I think works perfectly. Matter of fact, the league should have vetoed that trade to put him. Because let's be honest. I don't care what you guys think about it, but in my opinion, D-Hop is for sure first ballot. I mean, maybe not a first ballot, but a Hall of Fame wide
Hall of
receiver.
Fame.
Oh, shit.
And
I'm a Texans fan. You know what I think about it.
And you put him with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. That ought to be illegal. And again, for the Titans to make that trade, they got to be crazy as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They should have had a whole fire sale though.
Yeah, because they should have got rid of everybody.
Yeah.
And we know they shopping quarterback. They trying to get. I don't see Shador on every Tennessee mock draft you could possibly see. Even though I know you believe Prime probably ain't gonna let him go to a team like somewhere in Nashville, but they're looking for a quarterback. They're looking for a line. They're looking for a running back. Even though Pollard's been decent, I guess at best, but not for the money that they paid him. And there's a few teams that should have had a fire sale, in my opinion.
And that's where Jerry should have gone. He should have
that's what I was going to say.
Defensive tackles from Tennessee.
Man, Jonathan Simmons.
Yeah.
And that would have been a trade worth moving forward about. But Mingo,
spending any money right now.
Exactly.
I don't think Jerry's interested in football. I think that's the problem with the Cowboys right now. I don't know what Jerry's interested in.
I don't know if he's tanking or if he has a bigger plan. It's just I don't understand where we are right now with $25 million in salary cap space, and we're not making any moves.
I think they had an opportunity to build a 49er-style team, and I said this before. I'm on record saying it on this show before they paid Dak. In my opinion, you're already tanking. Now you're going to tank, but we got to look forward to CD and Dak taking up 45% of the cap next year of just 2 players, and you got to pay 51 other players with just 55% of your cap left.
And Micah Parsons coming up.
And that's not even including Diggs' contract as well.
I hope that's his plan is if we go ahead and sign Micah this year, we're able to give him a big enough bonus that allows some of his bonus to apply to this year's salary, which frees up some cap space.
What he didn't do with Dax in the first.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're in the position that
exactly why they're in it now. So I mean, it is what it is now. Dak done signed, and he's there for the next 3 to 4 years at least because he got all that guaranteed money on his contract.
I think Lattimore is a great signing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I was about to go to next. I want to get your opinion about a couple of these other trades on here. Like, let's just go to Lattimore since you talk about that. I think that was a huge pickup for Washington, not only for the right now in this season, but for their future. They kind of solidified some of their secondary with that. They got a lot of young guys on their defense, and Dan Quinn has done a great job coaching a lot of these young guys on their defense, and they got some vet leadership like Bobby Wagner and other guys on there too. But I think he's a good move for not only right now but for the future.
Well, like I say, I think honestly what they believe is they can compete at a high level. They have aspirations beyond just making the playoffs. And if you're going to play in big games, you're going to need at least one corner.
You got to have a lockdown. I mean, they got a lockdown corner, somebody that's relevant, and you need that. And then you're going to play for a coach that has this elaborate style of defense, this hybrid type defense that has worked throughout his whole career. And you go out and get a guy like Lattimore. So that's going to help. And he's a veteran. So he's going to be a leader, and he's going to lead those guys. It's just like when he brought Stephen Gilmore in to Dallas.
Yeah.
That made Bland and Diggs a lot better because now you can get into a guy that's been around here, and you can learn how to play the game.
Yeah, I think and you got a potential to do kind of what the New England Patriots did for years of, hey, we can solidify this side of the field with our lockdown corner. Now we can double and focus on some of these other guys or maybe our lesser talent, our lesser corners. We can shade some help that way because we don't have to worry about Lattimore on this side over there as well.
That's actually the problem with Dallas right now. We can't take anything away.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Defensively.
Yeah.
So teams are able to stay balanced and operate run pass. With a guy like Lattimore, it gives you the potential of being able to take something away.
Yeah, right. No, and I think that was a big deal for them. Looking at the Baltimore Ravens, they go and get Tre'Davious White, who some people might think is washed. He was an all-pro for multiple years in Buffalo, had some injuries, was on the Rams this year, and now they trade and get him. Also with the trade they made last week and getting Deontay Johnson out of Carolina as well. What do y'all think about the additions that the Ravens have made to their squad as they're trying to go get a title? I mean, they've got all the way to the AFC Championship. They've done everything they want to do. Lamar's got 2 MVPs. It's about winning the championship at this point. What do you think about the moves the Ravens have made last couple of weeks?
Man, tremendous moves. They got the personnel. It's just what they do in the playoffs with their personnel.
Yeah.
So, man, Lamar has been outstanding. I mean, they have a weapon at every part of the field. They had the best 2 tight ends. They have probably one of the best running backs.
Yeah.
One of the best quarterbacks. Their line has been solid, the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, defense is still it's still some questions about
Having
the defense.
trouble getting pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. There's still some questions about the defense. But, man, you have a team that your offense can carry you because they're so balanced. Like Rocky said, they do multiple things. They can run, throw. I mean, they can throw to the tight end. The quarterback can bootleg. And, I mean, they just some play action. Everything that's in the arsenal, they have it. They can come at you so many ways it doesn't make sense. It's just going to be what they can do in the playoffs and how their defense stands up.
And like I say, the Ravens, in my opinion, the Ravens fall in this category. And they've done it pretty much 3 times this year. The Ravens is the only team that can beat the Ravens. You understand? When you look at how they line up, whatever. Now, and one reason why it makes it easier for them to beat themselves.
And the Chiefs.
I'm going to tell you this. If they're going to have to turn, for the Chiefs to beat them, they're going to have to turn the ball over. Like, I don't think straight up the Chiefs can beat them because I believe, like, the Chiefs have let me give you an example. I think the Chiefs have an offense that can only put up about 25 to 28 points.
But they have elite defense and an elite defensive coordinator that once he game plans you, have you seen these last Super Bowls and these last playoffs victories that they have? Like once he game plans and he sees a weakness, man.
So what is he going to take away with Baltimore? I mean, just
me with Baltimore, I'm taking away the pass. I mean, I'm taking away the run.
Okay.
Because
which
running. I'm taking. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna have 6 men, 7 men at the 6 men, 7 men at the line of scrimmage. I'm taking away the run. D. Henry, before he even gets started, I'm taking that away. And every time Lamar rolls out, I'm putting the helmet on him too. That's what I'm gonna do to them. You're gonna have to pass. You're gonna have to show me
everything one-on-one. You're
gonna have to show me you can pass. You're gonna have to show me that you're an elite passer. Especially in the elements.
So now
that's going to come into play because it's going to be rain, it's going to be cold, it's going to be wind.
Last year he did the opposite of what you're saying. Last year what he did was he kept everything in front of him, played almost like all eyes on Lamar, and Lamar, for whatever reason, decided he wasn't going to run the football. They didn't let any big plays get behind him. So you're saying
and they didn't run the football.
Get up in their grill and they're going to go man to man.
That's what I'm
now. So what I'm saying in this regard, you're saying they have a much more potent running game than they had last year.
Exactly. Exactly. They didn't have to worry about the run. They had Gus Edwards.
Yeah. And they didn't run it. They ran it 5 times in that game.
And I think Dobbins or whatever, he was hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, Dobbins was hurt.
I mean, you don't threaten me there. So the only thing that you can do is roll out Lamar. Okay. He's gonna either pass it or
he's gonna run. That's why he had all 11 set of eyes on Lamar the whole game.
Exactly.
What else are they going to do?
That's the main threat.
Yeah. Now, I'm agreeing. Now with Derrick Henry, you got to try to take the run away. But I'm like Rocky said, when you put that many weapons out there, now you're telling the truth. You're going to have to show them. But I think when you put a Deontay Johnson and a Zay Flowers and a Mark Andrews and a Isaiah Likely,
that's what I'm talking about. They have it all. They have an arsenal.
Yeah, they have enough to be able to do it.
So
it's just will they?
But I'm gonna play zone. I'm gonna mix it up. You know, I'm gonna do some things that you're gonna have to beat me as a passer. You're gonna have to prove that. You're gonna have to prove that in those elements in December, in January, during that time. You have to prove
it's gonna be cold wherever they at, Baltimore or Kansas City. It's gonna be cold.
Cold. You gonna have to do that.
Like I say, the Chiefs all year they've gotten that 23 to 24. They hadn't had a game where matter of fact, the last game they scored 30, and that was in overtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it took OT,
game, like, and they're doing all they can to score that 24 points. Like, like it ain't like they leaving anything on the field.
But they just doing enough to win. You know,
they are.
And
they are doing enough to win.
That's all that counts. Like they don't care about how they get it done. They just want to get it done.
Like, what would their offense look like without D-Hop? I don't mean to break. Like
like it was before D-Hop got there.
21 points. 21 to 17 victories. That's what Kansas City's going to do.
Led by
So
their defense.
Kansas City still looking like the top team, obviously, and that's what I got coming up next, folks. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, got to do the NFL top 5 that I always do here. I got Wayne and Rocky here to try to take apart my list this week. In hour number 2, we got to talk about the college football playoffs list came out last night, the first one of the year, all 12 teams that are right now in the college football playoffs as far as the rankings go. Got to talk about Colorado and the pathway they have to the Big 12 championship now that we've seen some losses happen in the Big 12, like Iowa State, like Kansas State. So we got a lot to talk about, folks. Stay tuned. Stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's a sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie. 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am the host, Jalen Gillis, here talking some football here in hour number 1 on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon/evening that we have going on, getting ready for week 9 in the NFL. Starts tomorrow. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. That starts tomorrow. Got a good slate of NBA games starting tonight, and we've got a pretty good slate of college games going on as well. Not only tonight, but just started this week. And before we dive back into it, definitely want to give a shout out to MCC McLennan Community College out here in Waco. Had a fun time covering the MCC Classic this past weekend. Yesterday, that's why you guys didn't hear the show on the air. You heard the MCC game on the air. We've been covering them since they started their season. I got a chance to cover the girls team yesterday, and MCC women's team is looking good. They're 3-0 to start the season off. Just got a win last night over a ranked blend team where they handled them from start to finish in that game. Coach Thomas, in her second year as head coach there for MCC, is doing a great job, phenomenal job out there with MCC. They've got some players out there, and you guys definitely want to be tuned in for that. Also, the men's team just came back from a road trip in Oklahoma where they played two really good teams, Murray State. They lost their first one, and then they got a chance to play a top 15 team in the nation in Odessa and came out with the win yesterday against Odessa. So MCC's got two good teams over there at McLennan, so make sure you guys are locking in here on Centex Sports Network. We're going to bring you guys all the coverage. MCC's men team will be back in action this weekend, Friday and Saturday, as they're playing a tournament in Hillsboro, Texas. So you can catch all the action right here on Centex Sports Network. Two really good teams in the not only in the Central Texas area, but in the nation. Both teams ranked are looking for MCC's men team to be ranked, especially after picking up a good win like that against Odessa. And the women's team already ranked number 23, and I'm sure they'll be moving up the ranks after beating number 18 Blend yesterday and handling them pretty well out there. So make sure you guys get ready for that. Lock in on Centex Sports Network. You'll be able to catch all the coverage right there. So, folks, here just got done talking about some of these trades and the trade deadline that just passed in the NFL. And a couple other teams I wanted to talk about in that. We talked about the Baltimore Ravens and the trades they made for Tre'Davious White and for Deontay Johnson earlier. I want to talk about their division rival in the Pittsburgh Steelers, picking up Preston Smith, a good pass rusher to pair out there with T.J. Watt, who's one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league at rushing the passer. And then they go and get a Mike Williams from the Jets as well to go out there and complement them. We know how Russ likes to play. We know he likes those deep threat receivers, and now you give him two of them that can win that 50-50 ball with Mike Williams and with George Pickens out there. I think that can be a lot for this team. I'm still here in studio joined with Wayne Walker and Rocky Miller. So, Wayne, what do you think about the moves that the Steelers made in the trade deadline, getting two trades yesterday?
Hey, man, they're beefing up. They looking for a playoff run. They think they have a really good team. Going to get Mike Williams, get another weapon on the offensive side. Mm-hmm. They've been looking for a receiver all year, since the offseason. And I think they finally got somebody that could complement Pickens on the other side, gives them another weapon where you got the big Najee Davenport running the ball, and you have Russell back there. So that's good. And then you go out and get Preston Smith. You add to it to give you another pass rusher. So I like what they did. And Za'Darius going to the Lions. I like that as well. I like that trade as well. That was a need position. They proven veteran that's proven time and time again that he can rush the passer. Yeah. And so I like what all the teams did that's in contention. That's sure. In this playoff run and we're still in the middle of the season, but these guys want to keep winning and give these guys a chance to get in their systems and be efficient and learn what they're doing. And I think I like all the trades that were made.
Yeah. I think the Steelers, like you said, pairing Mike Williams and George Pickens, I think can be huge for this team because passing the ball is really been their only flaw for the past 4 or 5 years, and they made the playoffs most of those years. And passing was their biggest flaw since Ben Roethlisberger left about 4 or 5 years ago, and solidifying that by not only getting Justin Fields but also getting Russell Wilson, and you pair Mike Williams now to go with George Pickens, who I think has the potential to be a true number one receiver in this league if he gets the opportunities. And he's shown just in the last couple of games when he gets the opportunities what he can do out there, and Russell Wilson helps him to be able to get those opportunities. So adding him on there, and then, like you said, the Za'Darius Smith one I think was probably the biggest trade of the entire trade deadline weekend here, him or Marshawn Lattimore. But I think the Lions have a real chance to get to the Super. I think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl. I got to stop saying get there. I think they have a chance they've got everything you need as far as a team, and to see the way that their defense stepped up and played without their best player and Aiden Hutchinson, now you add somebody like Zadarius Smith in there, this team is going to be dangerous, and they've got enough to go out there and win it all. And Jared Goff's playing at the MVP level as well.
No doubt. They have everything. I think they'll be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. They just have to keep the momentum going, you know. And they've been on a mission all year, and they have to stay on that mission.
Yeah.
Is what they have to do. They have to stay focused, stay on that mission, because they are the best team in the NFC. As a matter of fact, you talking about your NFL top 5, and you know, they're definitely at the top of my top 5.
No, for sure.
Not at the top.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're in the top 3. They're in the top 3.
Most definitely.
But we'll get to that whenever you're ready to get to that.
Yeah. I'm about to go to it now. That was a perfect segue to go right into it. So, folks, every week I do my NFL top 5 list. It changes from week to week. It updates from week to week depending on what teams are looking like, what teams have lost, what teams have picked up somebody or picking up wins or picking up a player. And this coming into this week, last week, I had a pretty solid list. This week, I don't even have to kind of do a lot of the drama of building the list up, because I got the exact same list as last week. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I got the same list I had last week. I got number 1, Kansas City. Number 2, I got the Detroit Lions. We just talked about them adding Smith and how they've been playing football and really just blowing teams out. It's been great to see. Number 3, I still got the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 6-3 on the season. Just had a great win against a Denver team that was actually pretty good. They were 5-3 on the season, and Baltimore, handled them like it was nothing out there. Number 4, I got the Buffalo Bills. They're sitting at 7-2, been playing great football, especially since Amari Cooper has joined that team. And at number 5, I still like the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles, they struggled against this Jacksonville team. I still think the Eagles, I think their philosophies on offense is what's winning them games, and that's give Saquon Barkley the ball. They're giving him the ball. They're blocking for him. They've got 2 home run guys with Devontae Smith. We all seen him with the one-handed catch in the end zone. They got A.J. Brown, who is a top 5 receiver, top 10 at least to most people, receiver out there as well. They got Goddard. They got a good offensive line, and their defense each week has played better. Now, they let Jacksonville come back in this game, but for majority of that game, they were blowing Jacksonville out and had a pretty was handling that game pretty well. Now going into this week against the Cowboys. So that's my top 5. That was my top 5 last week. And last week I had teams I wanted to put in there like Pittsburgh. It's really the same teams I had on the outside. I always want to put Houston in there, but hey, man, I'm going to keep it real about my Texans. We're going to fix that offensive line. We're going home in the first round. I don't even got to play around with it. It's just pretty simple for me. Houston, if they don't figure out how to block C.J. Stroud, first of all, we're going to bench him, because we're going to get this dude killed out here getting hit like that week in and week out with how bad the offensive line is playing, and then with all our receivers gone. I think Bobby Slowick's head coaching chances have dropped, honestly, and a lot of it is to blame on the offensive line, but the offense has looked very, very stagnant, even though we've lost receivers. I haven't liked what I've seen out of Bobby Slowick's play call in the last couple of weeks, so Houston's definitely not in that top 5, but a couple teams that were right there that I wanted to put in, Pittsburgh Steelers. We just talked about them. They're 6-2. What Russell Wilson brings, they go and get a Preston Smith. They go and add a Mike Williams into that. And then the team that I've been waiting to take that slip and take that fall back, and they haven't. That's the Washington Commanders. They're 7-2. You got to respect 7-2. They got one of the best records in the league, and so they were sitting right up. So they were sitting right outside of. Yeah, you know how that.
Cowboys and Indians, you know. Go back.
Okay.
But I'll let you go ahead, guy. That was my top 5 list. I'll let you guys go ahead and take off.
No, I think it's pretty solid, man.
Your list is respectable, but I have the same list, you know, and I thought you was gonna come with some trash, but your list is respectable. The only difference I would make is putting Pittsburgh in there.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm going.
And I think I made that same comment a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Where,
Philadelphia, they still have to show me more. You could throw Washington in there, and it's been some teams that's been playing great. I mean, you look at Atlanta,
6-3.
6-3. Arizona, surprisingly, been playing good and running the ball. So it's, you know,
that NFC West has been tough for me to judge this year. They're so up and down.
If San Francisco don't get healthy soon, man, they got. I mean, because
They're sitting at third
Rams,
right now.
The Rams are not bad either.
No,
the
the Rams are not bad. They're battling a lot of health issues, and still seeing Matt Stafford make a throw like he did at the end of that game against Seattle to win it. Matt Stafford, when you got him at quarterback, you're in a chance to win whoever you go out there and play.
Got won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, for a reason.
That's that pedigree, you know.
Matt Stafford, yeah.
I think it's fair for you to be skeptical of both the Redskins, the Commanders, and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Right? But whoever comes out of this game that they play this weekend, I think may have.
Yeah.
Because, again, one thing we do know about when you line up against the Steelers, it won't be pretty. It won't be a sexy win.
No.
You know, there won't be any of these high-flying highlights that Jalen Daniels has had. It's not going to be that. He's going to have to grind it out against – he's going to have to be looking for J.J. Watt.
T.J. Watt.
Same guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be looking for T.J. Watt over there. And so he's going to, you know, and after he watches him on film, he may be a little more, hasty about getting rid of the ball. I'm looking to see him in some uncomfortable situations because one thing I will say about it, he's looked awfully comfortable all season.
Daniels.
Yes.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, awfully comfortable all season long.
That might be a testament to coaching.
That's what I'm gonna say, man. They you have to have support as a quarterback, a rookie quarterback. You have to have that support, and you have to be put in a position to where you're able to make plays. It's the difference between him and Caleb Williams is the offense coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury, Texas Tech guy, I must say.
Yeah.
But he's putting them in. He's putting them in situations where he has that support. He has a quarterback guy, a guy that knows offense, that's putting him in positions to make play. You have to have that support around you. That's the thing that Anthony Richardson doesn't have. That's the thing that Caleb doesn't have. You have to have someone that can. The organization has to support you, and then you have to have that offense coordinator that puts you in position to make plays. And he's had that.
Well, one thing I'll say, Walker, is I think last year, the last year that Rivera had the team, was the coach of the team, and he installed Sam Daniels, they tried to put the support around Sam Howell.
Yeah, Sam Howell.
They tried to put so he had a complement of wide receivers. Some wide receivers they probably should have traded and got draft capital for. They held on to him to try to, and now he has a full complement of wide receivers. He comes in with a serviceable offensive line, not great,
not great,
not great, but serviceable.
Yeah.
And he had running backs. You know, Brian Robinson.
Oh man,
Austin
running
Eckler.
backs good.
Running backs are good. So he had a fully outfitted offense to come into. Now, to your point, I've always liked Kingsbury, despite his Texas Tech affiliation. You know what I mean? I always thought he was a clever play caller, and I always thought he knew how to get, for the lack of a better word, a quarterback easy throws.
Yeah,
like easy throws. And so with him being that kind of guy, I think it works perfect for a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback because he gives a guy really easy to find looks.
Yeah.
And again, but Jaden Daniels, I had no idea Jaden Daniels would look like this. I was really hoping that they would draft Drake May, but once they hired Kingsbury with the condition that they would draft Jaden Daniels, and once they drafted,
so you had that support before you even got there.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. We have a plan. This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And they did it. And they brought in a guy. Cliff Kingsbury is a great offense coordinator, but as a head coach,
question mark.
That's question mark. But if you put him in there and you make him a quarterback coach,
an
offense coordinator, he's gonna do his job.
When you look at his resume, he's probably about 40 years old.
Yeah,
been coaching about 15 years.
Yeah,
coaching period because he tried to make the NFL and other professional leagues for a couple of years. So he got into coaching at age 25. When you look at his resume as coaching, he's touched some of the most transformational quarterbacks.
Starting with Manziel.
Johnny Manziel, Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. That's what I was gonna say.
You know, man.
Kyler Murray. when he got to
Calamari,
Arizona.
yeah. So you just think about the people that he's worked with, and all these quarterbacks are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
You think
None of
about
them washed out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Manziel washed out, but not because he had some.
And then,
he had a lot going on.
Davis Webb is another guy that played with the New York
Davis
Giants.
Webb. Yeah.
And he was on his two played at Cal, and then played with the Giants for about 3, 4, 5 years. So that's another guy that he touched. I mean, as an offense coordinator, quarterback coach, man, he is.
I think that's his niche.
So you have to have that support. You have to have.
Is
somebody.
Davis Webb coaching now? I think
I think so.
Coaching.
Yeah, I think so.
He is coaching somewhere either on the college level or something.
Yeah, he is coaching. Yeah. So
I this just goes back to, and I'm gonna say this. Mike Leach has had a profound impact on offensive football. Not only in college now, it was in college for a while, but now when you look at that coaching tree of how it's transitioned to the pros and how well they've done, I think the Pirate was a man before his time.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And wasn't understood. They didn't understand him. I mean,
very opinionated.
Goofy fella, man. I met him a couple of times, man, and he's no nonsense. He's one of them guys that just don't even care. Hey, this is Wayne Walker. Played here, blah blah. How you doing? Blah blah blah, and going on about his business. Welcome.
Ultimately, he lost his job. I think for
Craig James' son.
Yeah, put him in the cardiac.
He put him in the closet because he had a concussion. So he said, they say he couldn't be in light, so he put him in the closet for 3 practices, and it came back to Hunter.
Yeah. But I think about that Tech offense in about 07, 08 was still, in my opinion, one of the that was one of the best college football offenses I've seen. Still to this day, with Graham Harrell and Mike Crabtree, a problem. I mean, they beat that Texas team that was ranked so highly.
Yeah, but that's what you have. That's what you have in Cliff Kingsbury, and that's what Jaden Daniels has. That's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So long as he's getting that, and you put a guy in positions to make plays, I mean, that's what he's doing. He's just going out there doing it, what he's asking, and he's seen it time and time again as a head coach, offense coordinator, and he's gonna have a bright future.
Yeah.
If he stays there and he works with Cliff, he's going to have a bright future. Well, his future's already bright.
Well, do you think it benefits them to work with a guy like – now, again, I think Dan Quinn in Atlanta learned a lot.
Yeah.
Right? But he's still a hands-off guy as far as offense is concerned.
Right.
But he won't – I don't think he'll let a guy do –
what Shanahan did? Not run the ball,
Throwing go routes up 20 in the Super Bowl. I don't know if he'll let him do that anymore.
No, what I'm saying, I think he's because he was a hands-off guy. He gave it to Shanahan.
Well,
let Shanahan just...
When Matt Ryan MVP doing
it. Sitting in the cut for a few years and just being a defense coordinator, that'll do that for you, too. So, time brings on experience as well. So, and then you working with a guy like McCarthy. You seeing him, he probably eyeballing this guy saying, man, I know I can do a better job.
I know I'm better than this dude.
I know I can do a
That's
better
what I was
job
just going to say.
And then they let their let their head coach go. They let him go to Washington when he was up for a lot of head coaching jobs a year before that.
And stayed.
He interviewed for some jobs and this and that. And then Jerry brought him back, paid him. But he should have been that coach and waiting, And because the players respect him and they play for him. That's why the defense plays hard. The defense plays hard because they respect this guy. Did you see all those guys that went from Dallas to Washington?
Both of them
to go.
Both of them just had 2 sacks last week.
Matter of fact, I bet Michael Parsons mentions DQ on just about every part.
Once a week.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, another thing about it, I'm gonna say, and I was reading an article, and it was like all the guys in the league from around the league are wanting to go play in Washington. Why is that? Because you have a players coach that you can go play for, and that you'll knock down a wall for. So that's what you had with the Cowboys, and you let him get away. You let him walk.
Now, well, one thing I've heard, and you can explain this because it doesn't necessarily resonate with me as a player or whatever. But having a guy that the players can relate to and trust. Why is that so important in an organization or league? Having like one coach that the players can relate to and trust. Is it that much politicking, deception going on in
the pro game is so meticulous. I mean, let me put it to you like that. You can have guys that look you right in your eyes and tell you one thing and just go do another. You know? And that's the pro game. And you've heard it. You've heard numerous stories about guys that say, I don't trust them or they did this to me. I believe all of it. Yeah. I believe all of it because I've been around it, you know. I was in Minnesota. I got paid. Got a big signing bonus, was making some money, and I was coming off a knee injury, and they paid me. I mean, paid me.
Yeah.
And so they was telling me this and that. Oh, don't rush back. You know, we see you as a future guy. Don't rush back. Don't do this. Don't do that. So I'm chilling. I'm doing what they told me to do. Take it easy. That's what they told me. I'm still out there working hard. Take it easy. Take it easy. So we're gonna put you on IR. You know, we're gonna start you off on IR. So they put me on IR, and then once my time with IR was over, then they let me go. But nobody ever told me. But they was looking in my eyes all the time and telling me. And then you know something changes when they don't look at you the same way every day. You know, like they'll try to avoid you or try to walk this way or try to walk that way. Man, it's a lot of game in the game.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. The game within the game.
And so it's so you want to get a coach that you respect and that can look in you in the eyes and tell you the truth, you know, and give you confidence to go out there and play because you respect that guy because you know he's 100 with you.
Yeah.
You know, some guys ain't 100 with you, man. Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you, like, man, they tell everybody the same thing, you know. And as players, man, it's like a family because you with these guys 10 hours a day almost. You may go in at 6 o'clock in the morning. You might not leave out that complex till 6 o'clock that evening. You know, so this becomes your family. This becomes your second home. You're there so much that you have a code to get in. You have a parking spot. You know, it's your routine for 6 months. And so trusting a guy, it's like somebody in your family, like, well, dang, man, Dad told me this, but what he said is not resonating, you know? So that's why it's important, because it's your family, and then when people in your family start to lie to you and start to undermine you and this, that, and other, it just
and I think one of the things that makes football a little different in most sports is the guy that you're talking to, that you relate to, that asks you to go out there, he's asking you to go run full speed into another grown ass man.
Yeah.
100% injury league.
You're risking your body to go out here and do this.
Excuse me if
you're fine. You're on the radio. You're fine. You're fine. But no, I agree. I want to come back to that. We got to go to a quick break to touch the top of the hour. When we come back, we'll continue a little bit more on that conversation. We still got college football to talk about as well, and got a couple quick takes of some news that's been going on around in the NBA and in the NFL as well. So we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll go to a quick break. We'll be right back after this short break. You're watching Centex Primetime here on Centex Sports Network.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis.
970.
By Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. 888-4206 or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's the sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie, 719 South 11th Street. Sassies, come on by.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Start it up, let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time here in hour number 2 here on the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. Some of you guys just now getting off of work, on your way to work. I want to thank you guys for joining in with us here in the second hour of the show. As always, go over to YouTube. For those of you that haven't, go to Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV on YouTube. You can go on there and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell so you can get notified when we go live 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays right here on the show. Also download the app on your mobile device so you can listen wherever you're at. Centex Sports 1 on your mobile device on the Google Play Store or on the Apple Store. You can listen to this show 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays. Still joined in studio here with Wayne Walker and Rocky Miller as we just wrapped up talking about the Washington Commanders and both the player coaches that they have on both sides of the ball and why teams want to play for them so much. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. They're sitting at 7-2, and this is a team that just picked number 2 in the draft. They didn't have a lot of expectations coming into this year, and I think Dan Quinn has got to get a lot of consideration for Coach of the Year at the end of this season when this year is up.
No doubt.
Cowboys sure missing.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The way that their defense has looked, I believe you 100%.
You know, it's amazing that you get that. We always knew that coaching mattered in the NFL quite a bit, but it's not just from a scheme standpoint. I think it's from just how hard the players play is the biggest difference when I look at the Cowboys. The play, and I know we've suffered a number of injuries and everything like that, but it's just how hard those guys play for a guy like Dan Quinn and Walker before the break. You were bringing out that those players' coaches just have a tendency to have those guys be willing to run through a wall for them because of the relationships that they are able to build with the players.
Man, but you just think about it, like Richard Sherman and all these guys that played with him in Seattle, and every guy that has ever played for him, man, loves him and still gives him praise. That's how you know that that's a coach to be reckoned with. That's one of those guys that you can go and talk to. That's one of those guys that you introduce to your family because you trust him and you believe in him. and you'll go play for them. You'll play hard for them.
And before we get off the Commanders, it's funny that we're having a conversation about the Commanders. but no, because tonight, right after the show, where it's the HBCU Coaches Corner at a new time at 7:00, immediately after the show, we're gonna have the Washington Redskins and now Commanders legend Doug Williams on the show.
Oh, man.
So you guys be sure.
Y'all make sure y'all tune in for that.
Tune in for that.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's very huge.
And HBCU Coaches Corner, like you said, moved it around different time this week. But we always talk about that here on the show. So make sure you guys are getting ready and get locked in and get tuned in for that coming on at a different day here today. But guys, while we're talking about head coaches, obviously got to talk about the Saints just fired their head coach. And Dennis Allen. Wayne was on here earlier in the week when we talked about it. And Rock, I wanted to get your opinion on on this whole situation with the Saints. They had a lot of moves that they made while Drew Brees and Sean Payton were still there, and they're unfortunately still suffering from a lot of those moves that they made. They kicked the cat back for years and years and years, and now we're seeing that come into effect on the Saints next year. They're already like $80 million over or $60 million over the cap, something crazy like that. Going into next season before we even get started. They're going in 2-7 now after starting 2-0 in their season. Was never sold on Dennis Allen as a head coach. I think he was a good defensive coordinator for Sean Payton those years he was there. Didn't turn out to be a good coach in Oakland when he was at the Raiders. Now at the Saints in the last few years. Hasn't been just a horrible performance until this season. Hasn't been a great performance either. So he gets the boot for how this season has turned out so far, even though they've battled injuries. What do you think about the Dennis Allen firing?
Well, with a team like the Saints who came in this year with high hopes and you flopped the way that they did after getting off to a pretty decent start.
Yeah.
I don't think that Dennis Allen had a lot of capital build up based on what happened last year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Saints are one of those teams that they have an aging roster. They have a lot of high paid players.
A lot.
Rather than scrapping it a couple years ago, they tried to reload with what I would consider an unpopular choice at quarterback, which is Derek Carr.
For sure.
They tried to reload with him, even against the fans. The fans wanted, a new quarterback, maybe draft a quarterback or something like that. And so they come in with Derek Carr, and then with Derek Carr not delivering, it puts him in a situation where the coach ends up having to suffer the responsibility of what the organization's choices were in previous years, meaning that they paid all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
They've been successful somewhat. They don't have a lot of draft capital.
Yep.
And so, and you look at the players that have kind of aged out of their program. You look at a Mike Williams. Michael Thomas. That's
Thomas. Yeah,
still paying him.
He's at the house and they paying him good. Paying him
Michael
good.
Thomas, guys that they invested a lot of money in that didn't get them to that next level. And so when Drew walks away, he leaves a tremendous void in the organization as a leader and a player. At the same time, Sean Payton leaves, who was another huge figure that factored into the direction of the program. They just had a lot of Asian players on the staff, on the team, and they just got really old, really fast, and without what I would call, because I think Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback, but he's much more of a trailer than a tractor. And so what I mean by that is a tractor can pull you across the finish line, whereas a trailer needs to be pulled, and there's just not a lot there to pull Derek Carr.
Yeah, once you're paying a guy like Derek Carr money, I think that kind of fizzles out your program. You got to get him on a team-friendly deal in order for him to have success. Like you said, he's a guy that's got to get pulled across. He's not going to take you over the edge. I think outside of that one season, maybe in 2013 with the Raiders, the only really just good season that Derek Carr has had like that. So, I've seen a stat where he was like one of the league, he's got the most wins, or the most losses, for a quarterback that's played 6 seasons, the most losses for a quarterback that's played 7 seasons, the most losses for a quarterback that's played 8 seasons, 9 seasons, and 10 seasons. So, yeah, this kind of been his career.
It's just some stupid decisions they made.
Yeah.
Personnel's wise. Like, Taysom Hill has been productive, but they paying him.
They paid. They gave him like a $50 million contract.
They gave him, I think, $50 million over 4 years, and for a player that plays
a gadget player,
like you said. I'm gonna use that one right.
Yeah.
A gadget player that probably plays about 8 plays a game.
That's ridiculous.
Well, he plays probably more plays than he should.
Most of them he's blocking.
Here's one of my deals with a gadget player. A gadget player is only effective when you have a competent player at every other position. They don't make up the difference. You can play a gadget player with a top-level wide receiver. You can play a gadget player with a top-level running back. You can play a gadget player or whatever. But Taysom Hill doesn't replace a competent tight end.
Right.
He doesn't replace a competent wide receiver.
Well, he was great with Sean Payton because he put him in positions to make plays. But now
that's when they had wide receivers.
That's when you're right. And they had
running back.
And they had Drew Brees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, he's a great like I say, I think Taysom Hill was a player that they rewarded as being a saint, and not necessarily for his production.
Because you go back, you look at Tyreek Hill. When Tyreek Hill was with Kansas City, that's what I thought he was, a gadget player. But he's proved me wrong. He's a receiver.
Oh yeah.
But he has.
I agree. I thought he was like that too.
He has that giddy up that nobody else has. You know, he has that that one thing that is God given. I mean,
exactly.
talent is, but it's two things that's God given that can't nobody, and that's size and speed. And he has speed
for sure.
And again,
exceptional.
He has remarkable speed. Yeah. Right. But let's be honest, because you're a wide receiver guy. You know wide receivers. He developed into what he is now. He didn't come out of college being what he is.
Oh
now.
no, he developed.
Matter of fact, I'll say this. He was closer to, in my opinion, early on, Walker, and I agree with you. Though he was a flanker, wide receiver kind of guy, he had profound running back skills as a flanker early on. He developed.
He didn't play receiver till he got to the league.
Because he was a returner. Yeah. He could return punts. You could hand him the ball off in reverses and doing all that. So he was a gadget player when he came in. But he developed. But where did he develop at? Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because you were under Andy Reid's tutelage.
Yeah.
So they develop players better than anybody I know. They let Patrick Mahomes sit a year.
Yeah.
And then here you go, you're going to put him in and you let him play.
Yeah.
So they develop players. They're defensive backs that Ladarius. They develop guys.
McDuffie right now playing like a top corner in the league. They develop
their talent.
Yeah.
And Kareem Hunt was there first. I mean, guys that come and play under Andy Reid, they know how to be professional.
Yeah.
And the organization develops their guys.
And I think that's a key. I mean, that's probably the biggest key to a dynasty. Obviously, having a quarterback is probably right there with it, but you got to be able to develop talent. You think about New England over the years, how many all-pros that they developed. These guys didn't come out as all-pros outside of maybe Aaron Hernandez and maybe Chandler Jones when he was there. Had a lot of expectations when they came out, but the rest of these guys, the Devin McCourtys, the Dante Hightowers, the Gerard Mayos,
even Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady's the number one example out of all of it.
I mean,
they develop
Gilmore.
talent.
I mean, these guys, man, they develop guys better than anybody. Ty Law was good before that.
Yeah, they had
Ty Law was a guy they developed.
They had to develop him too. They had to develop him. They did it so often that it became just normalized for everybody. And the Kansas City has done the exact same thing. You think about the guys that even when I look out there and you see a guy that's like that, not a lot of people talk about at receiver, the Justin Watson guy that's out there. It seems like he's always open on third down, on these random third downs when they need a play. He's been in Kansas City's program for about 4 or 5 years now. They learn how to develop talent at every single level of the field, and that's what turned them into a dynasty that they're at right now.
Yeah, Jones and then those defensive backs and all the receivers. I mean, one of the best things they could have did with Patrick Mahomes is let him sit a year behind Smith.
Yeah,
and they let him sit behind him, let him watch him, learn how to be a pro, and it paid off for him.
Man,
I mean, Tyreek Hill was a guy that came in, wasn't high draft choice, and
First time playing receiver in his life was in Kansas City.
Yeah, developed this guy.
Yeah, so that definitely led to a lot of their success.
Yeah, but Tyreek Hill was a gadget player that turned in, put the work in, and became a successful receiver.
No, for sure. And like you said with New Orleans, just a series of bad decisions and what led to that. So Dennis Allen is out as head coach there. So their future is in scrutiny moving forward here because they're already against the cap. Like both of you guys said, a lot of aging players on that team, DeMario Davis, Cam Jordan. That I thought Lattimore shouldn't have been the only guy in the fire sale coming out. I thought Jordan would have got out of there. I thought DeMario Davis.
Those guys getting paid too much. Who wants an $11 million a year linebacker, $12 million a year linebacker? Who?
Well, if you trying to compete for a championship,
nobody needs a $12 million linebacker. See, in my opinion, you don't need a $12 million linebacker because if you have a $12 million linebacker, that's why you're not competing. It's those $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 million linebackers that allow you to compete.
And the thing is, if he was in the last year of his deal, then that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Because you go out and get him because you don't have to pay him next year.
But he's a guy that reworks his deal just about every year.
DeMario Davis.
I would have went and got him.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Jared probably should have been knocking on his door, man. No, dude, they need a lot more than that.
Yeah, a lot more than just linebacker out there. But
we need somebody who can take pressure off of our defensive line. We need that same rotation we had last year where we could rotate guys through because if we don't get them out in the first three, we're gonna give up a touchdown.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like if we don't get them, watch what I'm saying. If we don't get them off the field in the first three downs, we giving up a touchdown.
You got Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer had the personnel back then, man. He had Russell Maryland. You couldn't run against the Cowboys. You had Charles Haley. You had them guys on that line.
Completely
them Johnson
different.
brothers, them Johnson boys. Man, they were big.
You had I don't know what's the guy from Oklahoma, Casillas.
But Leon led. You had guys like that, man. You had boys. You had some guys back then.
You had some dogs. He's a lot of puppies.
You had Darren
right
Woodson.
now on this.
Guys like that.
Yeah, Darren Woodson. Yeah. It's not, and that was 30 years ago. And the like you said, the league has changed a lot since then. And Mike Zimmer, unfortunately, has not. And some of his defensive philosophies kind of spill over into what's going on right now. So
I don't know what he's running. He ain't running cover one or cover two. He's running wide open.
Yeah.
That's what he's running.
However you want it. That's what the defense is. That whatever you want to
buffet out there. You know what I mean? Because hey, every one of those guys is wide open. I'm talking about we don't even be in the position to make a tackle or nothing.
Well, when you don't have a pass rush, man, that's gonna create.
You can't have a DB without a pass rush.
Yeah, because I mean, in the league, in the NFL, one thing about the NFL is if you can't cover for 5 seconds. You can't do it.
No.
I mean, this guy knows where he's going, and the defensive back does.
And you backpedaling.
You backpedaling. You trying to turn your hips, and you trying to do all this, and I know where I'm going before you even come out of all of that. So if you can't pass, you can't effectively rush the passer and get pressure on him where you can get some errant throws or whatever, then you're gonna be in trouble.
And some of these routes that these guys run are so nasty.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
When they show that isolation shot of those guys running those routes,
man.
I mean, the guy, I don't see how
it's a skill, baby. It's a skill,
man.
It's a skill. And
now they let them do it. I don't know. They do that split jump when they jump into their route.
It's kind of jerky. Yeah.
You know,
Devontae Adams got that the most.
Yeah.
Coming out of his breaks.
You can do it in the middle of your route. You can run. You can do it like that, then turn it back on, and then get it back down again. So
DB's got no hope. If you ain't got no pass rush,
but if you don't have a pass rush,
you got no hope.
You have no hope.
you barbecue chicken sitting out there.
Or if you don't have a lockdown, or you're not playing zone, so a lot of teams are playing zone now.
Yeah,
you know, because they don't want to get beat over the top. You know, so I'd rather give up 8 yards than 68 yards. So. A lot of
they
teams
playing man on the Cowboys. I'm just letting you know that.
Well, if you don't have anything, you don't have a threat.
Yeah, we can send the house and man up across the board, or not on CD, or you'll get torched the other day like they did, even though they lost when he had 100-something yards. But
They have somebody over the top on CD though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You going to put somebody over the top on CD, but everybody else, hey, let's just figure it out.
Yeah, but when you playing Detroit Lions, you zoning.
Oh yeah, you better.
You know, you zoning.
After getting hit in the head by the run 20 times in a row too by the Lions too. So lot of storylines right now in the NFL. Like we just said, New Orleans Saints coach out there. So it's a lot of teams that's got a lot of question marks going into this offseason. Because I'm looking at about 4 or 5 teams that are sitting at 2 to 3 wins right now. 6, 7 teams, matter of fact, sitting at 2 or 3 wins right now on the season. So a lot of questions to be answered going into this next offseason. Before we get into some college football on here, we don't get a lot of time to talk about some of the NBA storylines and what's going on because we're so in the middle of football season right now. But NBA season in full effect right now. And one of the more surprising teams, a couple surprising teams just for 2 different reasons, is the Cleveland Cavaliers, first of all, sitting with the best record in the NBA, sitting at 8-0, led by Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and all those guys out there. And they got a better record right now than Boston, sitting at 8-0, best record in the league as of right now. And on the opposite side of that, a surprise, we got a talented team, high payroll. The Milwaukee Bucks sitting at the bottom of the league right now, sitting at 1-6. When you got Giannis out there, you got Dame Lillard out there, you have Doc Rivers out there. If you think Doc Rivers is a good coach or not, I'm not that big of a fan of Doc, but you got Doc Rivers out there as a coach, and they're sitting at 1-6 right now. So out of those 2 teams, fellas, which one of these is the more surprising thing? Cleveland sitting at 8-0, best record in the league, or Milwaukee sitting at 1-6 right now with the worst record in the league?
I see Milwaukee sitting at 1-6 because these guys won a NBA championship not 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're one of the beasts of the East, you know. And then you go out and make this trade for Dame, and it was supposed to make you a better team. And I just don't think that it's working with him and Giannis because you have 2 guys that need the ball in their hand. And everybody, you know, you talk about basketball and everybody was talking about a big 3. You know, we want a big 3. And they got a big 2, and it's not working. So, and then you bring in Doc Rivers, and he was supposed to make them better defensively, but man, their defense is not scoring. And I just don't think they had a team chemistry right now to compete. On the other hand, Cleveland, man, they young, fun.
Yeah.
And they running. I mean, they were one of the elite teams. They went deep in the playoffs last year. Donovan Mitchell got hurt.
Yeah.
And I think that done them in. But I think they can definitely make some noise. But the beast of the East is always going to be Boston.
For sure.
It's just like Kansas City Chiefs, man. They won. You got a taste of winning. And and New York went out and made some key trades. And I think it'll come down to those 2 teams.
Yeah.
You know, I think it'll come down to, again, with the NBA season, 8-0 don't mean nothing right now because it's such a long season. You got what they play, 85 games?
82.
82?
Yeah.
82 games?
Yeah.
So you still got a lot of games left to play.
Yeah.
So, but I know Boston will be at the top of that once it's all said and done. But right now, that's a surprise that Cleveland is 8-0. But the most fascinating story about this NBA season is the Bucks being 1-6.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I definitely agree. One thing I learned about from watching the Lakers the past 4 or 5 years the Lakers have gotten off to some really tough starts while LeBron has been there. And one thing I've realized is that if early on in the season, if your team is not in great shape, or if you don't have young players to give that energy because I think this time of year, your second and third, your second units matter more than they do down the stretch.
Oh, for sure.
You know, this time of year especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you don't have a competent scoring second unit, not defending second unit, scoring second unit, it makes it really hard for you to sustain, be competitive. Because nobody can stop anybody.
And that was a formula that the Golden State Warriors used when they was winning, man.
10, 11-man rotation sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. This is the time that your bench has to play big. And, I mean, that's the number one flaw for Milwaukee is how this team is constructed. You gave all the money to Giannis. Dame comes over making even more money than Giannis. And I don't think that pair is necessarily a bad pair. I think this team is built poorly. And kind of like we just talked about with the New Orleans Saints, their role players are getting old. You still got Brook Lopez out there playing 35 minutes.
And they should have got rid of Brook.
Yeah.
And Bobby Portis is a good player.
Mm-hmm.
But he hadn't played up to par this year.
No.
So, I mean, man, you had the assets.
Yeah.
But one key thing is when you take a leader away, and they did that when they traded old boy to Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
And they traded that leadership, man.
Yeah.
And he was a leader, and he was a defensive dog because he was gonna shit that offensive player down weekend.
It had Brook Lopez about to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Exactly.
They were saying they were one of the best defenses. As soon as Drew Holiday leaves, all of a sudden Brook Lopez can't guard nobody.
Yeah,
Giannis don't look as good on they were the worst. And then you add in I'm obviously rooting for all the black coaches in the league, man, but I'm just not that big of a fan of Doc Rivers. I think he's underachieved at a lot of his stops. I don't like how he got the job last year. You were the consultant for the Bucks, and Adrian Griffin was the coach. They were like 30-15, and then all of a sudden they fire him, and the consultant becomes the coach. I don't like how that looks. And then you come in and have a way worse record than the record he had. He had a nice winning record. You came in and instantly started losing with this team.
Yeah.
Got hurt in the playoffs. Now you come back out, you get a full off season with the team, and you're 1-6 to start the season off. So, a lot of things going on in Milwaukee. I think it's about time to blow that one up. And Giannis has already been putting pressure on them about winning, or he's going to start putting his eyes elsewhere. The worst thing they can do is let him get his way to a big market like a New York or Miami or L.A., one of the L.A. teams.
I think Giannis is an interesting player to me, right? Meaning that no doubt he's a dominant player or whatever, but he really only does a couple things. You know what I mean? And
he does them well, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I get what you mean.
But rather than a guy like, you look at LeBron, a guy who can feel a lot of different boys that
you're talking about that has multiple weapons. I mean, a multitude of
tools,
moves.
Yeah, offensive ability.
Now, the one thing about Giannis, he's going to come, he's going to drive the ball down the floor, he's going to spin, he's going to take them too long.
Travel and dunk.
Yeah. So he has to develop something other than that.
Well, and also what ends up happening is, and we've seen this a number of times. Yeah, that play works against a team that is willing to give him the space in the lane to make that maneuver. But if you ever see him play a team that says, okay, we're going to pack the lane up, you're not going to get that move, right? And now you have to come up with some counter to that. And he just doesn't have a proficient counter. Because when he starts shooting the ball outside, it really takes away from the team's overall scoring efficiency.
Right.
Because he's just not that great a shooter.
Well, it's the same thing with Russell Westbrook. He had to learn how to adjust. He couldn't just come down the middle and come down the lane all the time.
Dunk on somebody,
So then teams start making adjustments to that, and then instead of being player of the year, you become the laughing stock of the year,
Yeah.
But still a good player, but you have to make those adjustments. Can't shoot a jump shot.
Yeah.
All you can do is drive the lane, and that's the same thing with Giannis.
Yeah, and I agree. I think to Giannis that to just to play devil advocate, I guess on his part of it, he has had probably the worst second superstar out of all the other people we consider superstars. Chris Middleton is a fringe all-star at best, and that's really who he's been having to go into these battles with.
Freak. He's still a freak, baby.
You still a freak. And most of the time, you're not going to stop it. Even though it is the same move, he's still going to come out and you're like, man, he got 35 and 18 and 4 blocks to go with it still.
He won 2 MVPs.
You got to understand that when they were winning those, when they were contending for championships, not only did they have Drew Holiday, they had some players on the second team that ended up leaving. They ended up being starters on other teams.
Dante.
Yeah.
Dante was there.
Was it Brunson or something like that?
No, Brunson wasn't there, but DiVincenzo was there, like you said. I'm trying to think back to the other bench, but yeah, they had guys out there.
They had Allen.
Grayson Allen was out there for a little bit. Yeah, they had some guys. They had some guys out there. So that team was built good then. Now the team is not. I mean, honestly, this roster, the games I've seen them play on TV, the roster, it's just terrible look. It's just a terrible looking roster out there. To watch them play, the offense looks horrible. It looks like it hurts.
Now, let's talk about Doc Rivers for a moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's a guy that prefers veteran players, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this new NBA, is veteran players really the answer to
Yes.
I think you have to have a complement of veteran players. Sticking 9 old guys out there, as the Lakers tried to do 2 years ago,
they don't
doesn't
have a
work.
leader. They don't have a leader, though.
And
They don't have a
there's
leader.
a huge part, yeah.
You have to have a leader. When you have a veteran type team, you have to have you a Green.
Yeah.
You have to have you a LeBron.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody that can go out there and talk
and demand that the team.
Exactly.
Perform at a certain level.
For sure. And that's I think the number one thing they're missing, whether that's from the coach, whether that's from the players, the Bucks are missing.
Doc Rivers provide that?
But just
he
think
should,
about
but when has he?
Is Philadelphia,
outside of Boston.
Philadelphia is 1-6 as well.
They're right there at the bottom. The only thing I'll say is that their best player isn't playing, but it has not looked good in Philadelphia. And then with the news of Embiid now getting suspended for 3 games because he done got into it with a reporter and then pushed the reporter, and now he's got suspended. Philly's always got too much drama going on over there. Embiid doesn't play. That's the number one problem Philly's always going to have. Embiid doesn't play basketball. He's a really good basketball player, but he doesn't play basketball. He's always hurt. So he starts this season off hurt. Then they go and sign a huge contract guy in the offseason that also doesn't play basketball and is hurt a lot. And Paul George, I think he just played his first game yesterday or a couple days ago, and they'll be on TV tonight taking on the Clippers as well. So, the Sixers, they're there, but I give them a little bit more leeway because their best player is not playing. The Bucks, Chris Middleton's not playing, but you still got Giannis and Dame, and you're 1-6. And you in the East, and like you in the West, and you 1-6. You 1-6, and you in the East, playing mostly teams in the East right now. So something's got to shake there. But like you guys said, it's a long NBA season. Everybody's record right now really doesn't mean anything because by the end of this year, they're all going to be completely different for the most part. So I want to transition and talk about some college football. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks, and now last night they just put out the first ranking for the college football playoffs. They always wait towards the end of the year to start putting out these rankings. Last night they put out the first one, and in my opinion, they're already starting to shape their narrative some. When I see a team like Boise State beat out SMU already for that 12th spot, I already see how this is kind of going. They got a potential Heisman Trophy winner over there in Ashton Genty, and SMU has clearly played tougher competition than Boise State has. They have the same record. Boise's only loss is to Oregon. SMU's only loss is to BYU. Both of those teams are undefeated. Obviously, Oregon's a tougher opponent, but outside of Oregon, Boise State hasn't played nowhere near the competition, in my opinion, that SMU has. They're already shaping their narratives, but right now they got 1 through 12, Oregon at 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Miami sitting at 4, Texas at number 5, Penn State 6 after they just lost to Ohio State last weekend, Tennessee at 7, Indiana at 8 sitting at 9-0, BYU at 9 sitting at 8-0, Notre Dame at 10, Alabama at 11. We knew Alabama would be in there some kind of way, and Boise State sitting at 12 with a 7-1 record. So looking at all these teams, looking at kind of how they're already trying to mold their narratives, because once you're in the college football playoffs, really, especially with it being this big now, they're not going to really move you out unless you lose. So they're kind of building in the narratives now of, all right, these are 12 teams. If don't nobody else lose, these are the guys that we like, and I think that's why they snuck Alabama in that number 11 spot, even though they've got 2 losses already on the season. So looking at this lineup, what's your guys' opinion of the first look at this college football 12-team college football player? I think the first 2 teams would get a bye week. So the first matchup would be Boise State and Georgia at the 12 and the 3 spot, Miami and Alabama at the 4 and 11 spot, so on and so forth. Texas playing Notre Dame, stuff like that. So what's your guys' first opinions on this college football playoffs and how it's shaking out so far.
Well, I think they got it pretty much right, except for the Boise State narrative that you made.
Mm-hmm.
SMU, man, and that ACC, and SMU has been, I mean, winning convincingly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it hadn't been any. They've been winning convincingly, and I think they deserve that 12 spot. But the thing about it is, you knew Alabama was going to be in there. They're not going to play for the SEC championship, so they're probably not going to get another loss. So they'll probably be in there. But they travel well. It's college football now is about money, so it's all about prime time.
Yeah,
ain't that the name of your show?
Yeah, sure
Centex
is.
Primetime, right?
Tell them.
So, but it's about prime time. It's about making money, and so you know Alabama was going to be there, but they play in a tough SEC conference too.
Yeah,
and in this conference they've been knocking each other off. So that's not surprising that they're in there. I want to see the best teams in there.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see the best teams in there
For sure.
You know, I'm hoping Colorado can get in.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
One thing you can say, you can talk about Deion, you can talk about Colorado, and you don't like them, but if you look at every college football game last year, you know who had the number 1 rating in all of college football?
Yeah.
Colorado.
At 4-8.
Yeah, at 4-8.
Yeah. Now they're sitting at 6-2.
So if you put them in that playoff,
oh man,
you put them in that playoff, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be prime time.
They'll blow the ratings out the water. Whatever bowl game ratings they've had over the last few years.
It's entertaining.
They'll blow it out the water if Colorado gets into that.
When you're a football player and you're a athlete or whatever, it's called entertainment.
Yeah.
It's showtime.
No, for sure.
So yeah. I want to see Colorado get in there, and I think they can if some things happen in the Big 12.
No, for sure. So what's your first look at a college football playoff bracket?
Again, I honestly think BYU is ranked too high.
And number 9?
Yeah. I thought they were 4.
No. They send a number 9.
9 or 8, yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah.
So who are the top 4? Let's get those.
Oregon?
Top 4 is Oregon at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Georgia 3, Miami 4.
Okay.
That's your top 4.
I go with that. And then who's the next?
Next after that, Texas at 5, sitting at 7-1. Penn State at 6, sitting at 7-1. Tennessee at 7. I had an ad pop up. Tennessee at 7, sitting at 7-1. Indiana at 8, sitting at 9-0.
And then
BYU's right after that.
Indiana is the one that I thought was fraudulent. Yeah, I know that was one.
Well, they don't have the potential to drop.
Yeah,
they don't have because they have to play
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
So they gonna have the potential to drop if they lose, but if they win,
I mean, I think I wouldn't have been mad if Indiana was ranked in front of Tennessee. I mean, Indiana's playing great.
Been playing, man.
Indiana been playing good football.
Indiana's been playing, and they're exciting too.
Yeah,
do they have a win against a ranked team?
Let me go on and look.
I can tell you.
No wins against any ranked teams, but neither does BYU.
So BYU, you can X them and put Big 12 champ. So I you got to have a Big 12 champ. So
They're gonna have to be in there.
Yeah. So I'm not really focused on BYU, Big 12 champ. But what do you do with Indiana? Say they lose to Ohio State.
Yeah, that's tough.
See, that's the problem I have with Indiana. If they lose to Ohio State, they win the rest of their games. They don't go to the championship.
The Big 10
championship. Do you have it set for them to go to the?
That's what's gonna make this so tough. Because I like Indiana. I think Indiana has played good football this season. And to your point, they don't have a ranked win, but do they have much less wins? Like more, I guess, lesser wins than Texas.
Well, okay, so
Texas is number 5.
Let's talk about Texas.
Okay.
So I don't think you can put Texas in the same category as Indiana.
You don't, but I was just saying based off the wins. You said they don't.
No.
But you're talking about the 2 biggest and the strongest conferences in football. You're talking about the Big 10, and you're talking about the Southeast Conference, which Southeast Conference is a whole
nother beast.
So
what I'm saying is, Indiana's played, I want to say 6 conference games now, 6 or maybe 7.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah.
Right. When you think about it, and them not playing another ranked team, like that's I understand it's a good record, and they played well in a lot of those games. But when you start ranking those guys, I think it seems like Indiana still has to play their way into the ranking. But you don't put those guys. See, here's my problem. It's almost like they setting it up so two Big Ten teams would be in there irregardless.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. You have Penn
so
State,
it's the Big Ten that wants two teams. So putting Indiana there really is like saying, okay, we're gonna put two Big Ten. Right
now it's four. It's three in there. They got four in there.
Penn
Oregon,
State, and Ohio State, because you added those guys from
They got four in there. The SEC has got
that's
three in
what
there
I mean.
right now.
You want four. You try to
four
put,
in there.
You try to put four. They represent a Big Ten team. You understand what I'm saying? And so the odds makers will want to put those guys in there because they probably had the most favorable schedule. Even if they lose, they're probably gonna go undefeated.
They're going to lose to Ohio State probably. It's going to be a tough game, but that's going to be their loss.
And then who do they have left?
Yeah.
Who they have left? They got two games after
They got, let's see. They got Ohio State in a couple weeks. They got Michigan next, and they got Purdue.
That's they can easily be 11-1.
Easily.
And so they
easily.
So they're ranking them so they can be in the game.
Well, but I think you got to rank them right now, though, based off of what they've done this season. I think you have to. They're undefeated in the It's two premier conferences, it's the Big Ten and the SEC.
Right.
At least three are going to get in from both of those. And you got a team in the Big Ten that's undefeated in Indiana. That's why they didn't put them. That's why they still got Penn State ranked in front of them, even though they have a better record than them. Ohio State's got a better record than them.
But I like that.
Well, they have a better record than Ohio State and
Penn State.
To your point, I think SMU is a more worthy team.
That's why I say kick Boise State.
Boise State got to go. They trying to get the Ashton Genty in there in the playoffs.
Again, I'm not saying kick Boise State. I'm saying give Indiana the boot.
I wouldn't pick Indiana over Boise. If I had to pick who's coming out, I would take out Indiana. I would take out Boise State before I took out Indiana. I'd take out Notre Dame before I took out Indiana. Notre Dame's sitting there playing Army and stuff every other week and beating people up. But Notre Dame is obviously a huge brand, so they're going to stick them in there.
I'm talking for the sake of football, I would much rather have a Texas team in there than an Indiana team.
I mean, if I had to choose, I would prefer
bias.
SMU in there. But
that's my bias.
Yeah.
Now, Boise State, they are a football brand.
They are, but
again,
not over SMU. I wouldn't pick them in how SMU looks.
So
right now.
let's say so I think this is. Oh, I understand it now. If Indiana beats Ohio State still has a chance to be in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure.
That's what they're setting up. That's what they're setting up.
No doubt.
So if they're setting it up where if Ohio State loses, and as long as they beat Michigan, they'll be able to be in the playoffs. Ohio State's in the playoffs.
They're gonna be in the playoffs.
Ohio State's in the playoffs. They're like Alabama. It's almost nothing you can do to make them outside of the playoffs.
What are they, number 2, right?
Yeah, they number 2.
So they number 2. So I don't care if they do lose to Indiana, they're not gonna fall that far back.
No,
you're not gonna fall from 2 to
15. It's 12. It's the top 12.
It's the top 12.
So they could lose to Indiana and Michigan.
Alabama lost 2.
Yeah.
They the same brand.
And then it's setting up Oregon. Oregon can lose.
Right.
They still got to play the Big Ten championship. Oregon can lose.
Let's talk about this, guys. Who can play? With that being the case, other than being a conference champ, who can play their way in?
Can play their way?
I want Colorado to play their way in.
I mean that's the only team we have left to talk about, and that's what I want.
And I want SMU to play, but
they should be in my opinion.
But the schedule down the line is going to dictate a lot of things because there's some teams that can potentially take some losses.
Will SMU play Miami in the conference?
No, they don't. They're not gonna. I don't know if they're gonna get to it. Well, now they will because Clemson lost. But outside of that, SMU don't play. Yeah, SMU doesn't play. Who did you just say? Miami or Clemson for the rest of the season. So if Clemson wouldn't have lost, they weren't even gonna make it to the ACC championship. Even if they went out, they weren't gonna make it. But Clemson losing now gives them the chance to win the ACC championship, which will give them an automatic bid. Even if their record,
don't have a conference championship game.
No, they do. That's what I'm saying. If they play Miami and beat them, that gives them a chance to get an automatic bid.
Because of the championship rules now, the two most undefeated, the two highest ranked undefeated teams are going to play in the championship.
Yeah. And you talking about in the conference? Yeah.
You got three teams that are undefeated. The most the two highest ranked undefeated teams are going to play in the championship.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you go.
And that rule was going to take place if Clemson didn't lose. Now that Clemson's lost, it's kind of set up because Clemson doesn't play Miami either or SMU. So, but now that they've lost, all SMU and Miami have to do is win out.
Win out.
It's win out, and they'll be in there.
They'll face each other.
Yeah. So that settles that part for the ACC because that was going to be the most confusing. I thought Clemson was going to win out and then SMU was just going to end up getting left out even with a good record.
So in the SEC, who are the two teams that are favored to come out of there? Who's the two teams that's going to be in that SEC championship?
It's going to Texas and A&M are playing for it on that weekend. They'll play. Georgia is probably going to win out and going to be in there.
Play Georgia.
Yes.
Okay.
Most likely right now because Texas is sitting at number 5 and A&M is sitting at number 14.
Right.
But Texas doesn't play Bama. A&M doesn't play Bama.
So Texas could potentially play their way out if they lose to
A&M. Right. Yeah, they could play. They'll be in it. They'll be in it. But
who does Texas have left?
A&M.
They got computer. They still got Florida this coming up weekend, Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M.
Arkansas might be a
Arkansas a tough team too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's old.
Arkansas got.
That's the old Southwest Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that could always go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's at Arkansas. It's in Fayetteville.
Ooh.
So Texas gonna have to do some work. They got the toughest schedule going forward out of these teams in the SEC trying to play their way in.
Who's that?
Outside of a Tennessee maybe, because Tennessee still got Georgia, but I don't think Tennessee still got Georgia. So Tennessee's probably going to fall out of that, and then that's what I was saying. That's going to make their fans go crazy because they're going to have 2 losses after that. But Bama's getting in with their two losses going into it. So, but before we go off, I want to talk about a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Colorado. We still got a couple minutes left here before we end the show. Colorado has got a chance now with a path carved out for them to kind of make it to the Big 12 championship, which we thought was going to be. We thought they weren't going to have a chance to make that with the way that Kansas State was looking, the way Iowa State and BYU was looking. Now with them having a tough game, and that's why Fox Noon Kickoff is going to be there in Lubbock this weekend. They got Tech coming up this weekend. Still got Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State coming up. Now Colorado's sitting in that third place slot that Kansas State had because Kansas State has lost to U of H. Iowa State also dropped a game last week as well, so that gives them a chance. But I think Colorado still needs, in order to just solidify their chance going there, I think they still need Iowa State to go out there and lose to Kansas State at the end of that season. I see Iowa State still beating the Kansas, the Cincinnati, and the Utah. They need Kansas State to get that upset win over Iowa State, in my opinion, for them to solidify that chance. But now a path is carved out. I don't think I don't think any of these teams are way better than Colorado in the Big 12. I think they can beat BYU. I think they can beat Iowa State in a championship game. And with that being said, that will give them an automatic berth to the college football playoffs going at the end of the season. So what do you guys think about Colorado's chances of being able to not only get to a Big 12 championship game, but potentially get to the college football playoffs?
Okay. So I give them a 50% chance of going undefeated, right? I think
in the last 4 games.
Yeah,
okay.
Last 4 games. The other half of it that has to happen, meaning that, I want to say one team has to lose twice and the other team has to lose once.
Yeah, Iowa State would have to lose one more time, and then that'll put Colorado in front of them.
And BYU would have to lose twice.
Well, BYU they can beat BYU in the championship game, and they'll be able to go.
No. What I'm saying is
if Iowa didn't lose.
No. For them to get in the championship.
For them to get in the championship game. For BYU to be left out the championship game, they would have to lose.
Oh, twice. Yeah. For them to be left out of it. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is
that won't happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
There's a path there, but I just think it's a 75% chance that they just don't get a chance to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because BYU, the games they have left, all the teams they have left, they're going to be favored again.
I think BYU is in there.
And to be honest with you, Iowa State is going to be favored in all their games as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think it's a 75% chance that they get an opportunity to, and then it's a 50% chance that they go undefeated. I think personally, if they go undefeated, the conversation is going to happen. They may not get in the bowl game, but the conversation is going to happen.
Oh, definitely. For most of the reasons you just talked about.
Let me ask you this. So if they go undefeated, BYU goes undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So 10-2 Colorado team, right? 10-2 Boise State, 10-2.
Colorado's blowing them out the water.
10-2 SMU. To me, I think I don't know, man. I think the committee will take a Colorado team because we already talked about prime time.
Exactly.
I mean, so you talk about when you get in the playoffs, you talk about ratings.
Over 11-1 Indiana team.
No.
Prime's gonna have to earn it. They're not gonna give him nothing, even though he's gonna get the ratings.
They hate on him already.
He's gonna have to earn if he gets into that college football
don't get me
playoff.
wrong, all my Red Raider fans, they coming to Lubbock this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't want you to revoke my card. I love my school, but I have to be honest.
Yeah.
If I'm talking on camera, I'm gonna be honest. We're a little weak, and Prime is my friend.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know. I want us to win, but I don't think we'll win. So I have to be honest with what I'm saying in my assessment.
They had a sensational game against
Iowa State.
Against Iowa
They
State.
did.
Yeah,
they did.
And I want us to win, but I just don't think we will. I don't think we're tough enough. I don't think in the trenches we can't tackle at all, and we're not tough on defense, and that's always
and then
when I play.
And then offensively,
we don't have no identity. We don't have our identity is to run the ball.
Run the ball, and then the next game they can't run it all.
I thought they were gonna have one of the best running games coming into the season, and that turned out to be false.
Well, they ran it. They ran the game. The game they scored 60 on somebody. They ran. Was able to run the ball.
I mean, your running back is your main guy. Right?
Yeah.
And so you give him the ball 24, 30 times to get 160 yards. It don't. I mean, we are running gun type of offense. That's what we, the red gun. That's what we called it. And that's what we predicated our football team on, and we kind of got away from that. Now we're running the ball that many times a game, but I just don't think we can beat Colorado this weekend. And it's a big game. You can't even get a ticket. A ticket.
Oh no, the game this weekend is going to be crazy. And like we said, Colorado, they got a path, but I think Kansas State is going to beat Iowa State. In my opinion, the only interesting part of it is Utah, who's been underwhelming since they lost Cam Rising, is the only team that has a chance to ruin everybody's season. They play BYU this weekend. The weekend after that, they play Colorado. The weekend after that, they play Iowa State. So they got a chance to ruin everybody's season. And I think they're going to get one of those guys. I just don't know who it is.
They're going to get one of them.
Yeah, they're going to get one of those guys out of there. And they got a chance to, because they still got everybody else that was on that team that was still that had them projected to be the top team.
One of those teams.
Yeah, I agree.
And they too well coached, and they got a good team.
Yeah.
So they'll beat BYU, which is a big rivalry.
Yeah, that's the one I think they're gonna get is BYU this weekend.
That's a big rivalry, man. I mean,
ain't nothing else going on in Utah. That's a pro game.
That's a pro game. That's a pro game. Yeah.
With the BYU versus Utah, that's a professional style game, especially with BYU being undefeated.
Right.
I can't think of the last time BYU was undefeated or Utah's had a chance to have a BYU coming in because they're playing at Utah. So they got a BYU team coming in that's undefeated. So the whole town is going to be, whole state is going to be out there, honestly, for that game.
Since Robbie Bosco back in the day. I mean, that's the last time I think they were undefeated. And, that's going to be a big game. So I think they will get them, though.
Yeah, I think they'll get them.
I think you're right on, Jalen, about that.
And BYU, it's not a appealing game that people are thinking about. I think that Arizona State team is going to be tough. They're 6-2 on the season. Just because they've got a couple losses in Big 12, people kind of forgot about them. But Arizona State's not a slouch, and they got to play Arizona State at Arizona State a couple weeks after they play Utah. So BYU's got some games they're going to have to win out as well. They're going to have to handle their business going into these next few weeks against those teams. So it's going to be interesting, man. That Big 12, I think the rest of the conferences are kind of are somewhat decided, especially the ACC. I think we know at this point it's probably going to be SMU and Miami in that one. And then in the Big Ten, it's probably going to be Oregon and Ohio State. And that SEC is the only other one that's kind of got a toss-up because it depends on that A&M versus Texas game that they're going to get at the end of the season. But we kind of all got Georgia locked in a spot there. And the Big 12, even with these top four teams sitting up here, BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, and Colorado State, we still don't know who's for sure going into that championship game. We expect BYU to be in there, but after Iowa State loses a game against Tech, now teams are seeing, okay, this team is vulnerable. And they still got to play a Utah team. They still got to play a Kansas State team at the end of the year that's mad that they dropped a game to a U of H, and that's going to be trying to pick up as many wins as they can so they can get to a good bowl game. The college football playoffs is probably out of it for them, but they want to still have a good bowl game because it's a good team that Kansas State has. So a lot of storylines still left to be written in college football, and that's why it has been so interesting over the last couple of weeks. This weekend coming up, some really good games. We talked about the Michigan and Indiana game coming up, but Georgia's got to play Ole Miss. That's going to be probably really the last tough game that Georgia's got coming up in this season. They got to take care of business against Ole Miss in that one. And then, as always, Alabama LSU is this weekend, and that's going to be – because whoever loses that game is going to officially be completely forgotten about in the college football playoffs because Alabama's in there at number 11, but LSU is sitting right outside of it at number 15 because they're 6-2. They're sitting right outside of it. So the loser of that game is their season as far as playoffs is over with. So that's always going to be a huge one. And then that BYU-Utah game to close it out. So a lot of good games on the schedule this coming up weekend, folks. A lot to talk about whenever we get these guys back in studio next week as well. So I want to thank everybody for watching with us today. We're out of time here for today. Got a chance to talk about a lot of good topics in here in the show today. So make sure you guys go back and look at some of these parts in the episode. I want to thank Wayne for coming on here with me as well as he does week in and week out. Rocky as well for jumping on here with me. We'll be back in action tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. Got to talk about that Cincinnati versus Baltimore game. That's tomorrow. Got to talk about some more of these Week 10 NFL games coming up and this college football games that are coming up for this weekend, a big slate, as well as La Vega versus Lorena, a chance for them to close out the district title this weekend. That game will be right here on Centex Sports Network and on 94.5 FM and Infinity Sports Radio, Central Texas. So make sure you guys are getting ready for that. We will see you guys next time tomorrow, 5 o'clock. We'll be right back here in action as we go here. So I want to thank you guys for coming in and checking in with us today, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one.
This is home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all know.
Weekdays, 5